The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Anchorage, Alaska, on your new fire apparatus, job number 31186. Please utilize this job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. Let's get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Let's start down at the front bumper. Underneath the front bumper, you'll find your connection point for your portable winch or any other 12-volt device. Located in the center, you'll find the actual receiving hitch location for your winch. Moving up onto the bumper face, you'll find two electronic siren or PA control speakers. And also located in the front, you'll find two forward-facing attachment points. Moving all the way to the driver's side, you'll find dual air horns. As we move up onto the body itself, on each corner you'll find two side-facing emergency lights. Moving further up, you'll find your turn indicator. Moving just inward in that location, you'll find the headlight cluster. Located in the headlight cluster is where you'll find your low and high beam. The high beam will be the inside beam, low beam will be on the outside. Moving to the center of the grill area, you'll find your mechanical siren, your grinder. Moving upward, you'll find emergency lights. Moving just underneath the Pierce logo, if you reach your hand underneath, is where the release mechanism for your hood. And then moving all the way up to the top across the one-piece seamless windshield, you'll find 3 windshield wipers. Moving up to the brow, you'll find 5 forward-facing running lights. And moving all the way to the top, you'll find your emergency lights, the outer edges set off at a 45 and the inside straight forward. Just on top of that, you'll find your go lights, which are your controllable spotlight. And at the very top, you'll find your rescue insignia for your apparatus. Let's take a close look at some of those items we just talked about. You can see on those individual items, they are labeled for the amount of pounds that they are rated for. Also moving to the side, you'll find a side-facing emergency light. Let's go ahead and take a look at the fire department logo. And then we'll move to the side of the apparatus just to the rear of this location. You'll find your combination lock for unlocking all 4 of your doors. And then located in the center yellow area, you'll find this shoreline inlet. This is a 120 VAC 30 amp auto eject plug. Just behind it, you'll find a side-facing or mid-location emergency light. Moving up onto the top, you'll find 2 attachment points here. There is also information just underneath those attachment points for how they should be used and the weight associated. Moving further up, you'll find a combination of emergency side lights and also floodlights located on the driver and passenger side. Close up of some of those items here. As we look down to the first compartment here, this is going to be on the driver's side. And we're finding first in the upper left-hand corner of this compartment, first adjustable shelving, and then also you'll find locations for some of your controls. We'll talk about those in the next set of images. First, let's take a look. These are adjustable shelves with LED lighting inside. This is your compartment heater. You can see an on-off switch and increase or decrease for temperature. In the upper left-hand corner, you'll also find additional 20 amp plug and also a service wire connection. Moving down to the lower section, next compartment back, you're going to find controls for your generator and auxiliary air tanks. Let's take a look down at the the upper section here. First, you'll find your auto charger. This is when plugged into shore power. And then you'll also find PCs 1, 2, and 3. They're individually labeled, and they are also plugged in just on the other side of this wall for shore power connection. Above that, you'll find LED lighting. Once again, different image here, but this is your auto charger, the same one you saw in the previous. And this is going to be your air compressor for your service brakes. When plugged into shore power is when this will operate. In between the compartment, you'll find a hydraulic reservoir location. This is an access panel. Moving down to the right lower corner is where you're going to find your generator remote starting instructions here. There are 2 switches associated with this. We'll talk about those in the next set of images. Each one of those has an indicator light, and I'll show you in the next image or so. In the very back of this compartment and also on the side,
you'll find accessible doors. These pull down on the piano hinge and the access is at the very top. This is your generator start and stop. You'll also see in the green indicator, and at the very bottom, this is your IRT enable and disable switch. Instructions here for your generator. As we move to the very top, this is going to be for your air conditioning unit. At the very side of this compartment is where you'll find the S1, which stands for shore power. These are breakers for that. Just beneath that location, you're going to find the G1, which stands for generator, and those are switch breakers for when the generator is operational. You also have a top-mounted light. This is the control panel for that. The light tower itself will go 25 feet, 9.5 inches. That's as it comes from the manufacturer. Without any adjustments to your apparatus, that will be the specific sizes for you. As we look inside the compartment, just over the rear wheel, first we'll find this compartment. You can see additional access here. You have 2 ladder locations or possible board storage locations. Moving down, you'll find the blue DEF. This is a 4.5 US gallon tank. And on the just to the rear wheel is where you'll find your green diesel fuel only. Above those locations were bottle storage locations with straps. As we move to the very rear compartment, you'll find additional information here as far as equipment. We'll talk about those in the next set of images. You also will find remote start switches and real rewind switches. We'll talk about those in the next set of images as I have a close-up. Here is your compressor for powering it on, and you also have a cord rewind. This is a 200-foot 20-amp cord. That is an electrical cord. At the top of this compartment is where you'll find the controls for your utility air. I've got a close-up of that, so it'll make a little bit more sense as we move through this image here. There are also a pull-out style shelf. There is the release in the upper corner. Release that and the shelf will pull out. Once again, 150 feet utility air reel. Here's your regulator and also your adjustable air valve. This is when the shelf is completely pulled out for gaining access either right or left to the vehicle. Located directly behind the blue line, you'll find this 20-amp outlet. Looking all the way to the rear, you'll find these air rewind resets. These are for the reels themselves for electrical power, 12 volt. You'll also find a switch for your air rewind. Moving down to the bottom, this is going to be your compressor control. You can see start stop switch. There is also a position switch here which can be put into the auto mode, and then the power on off switch. There's also a compressor running time located down at the very bottom. These are going to be your drains for your wet service tank, front service tank, rear service tank, and rear auxiliary service tank. Simply pull down on the circular key style chain. Pull down, that will release the air within inside those individual tanks. Let's move to the very rear section of the apparatus. This is both on the passenger and also on the driver's side. Currently looking at the driver's side, 12 volt access here for winch capability or other 12 volt access point. Looking at the rear of the apparatus, first you can see at the very top you have your directional, rescue 4, and then there is also your brake lights and emergency lights. Let's look at this a little bit more in depth. First, let's start down at the lower section here at the bumper. We'll find an additional attachment point rear facing. This is for trailer accessories. These are the different style plugs that your department must have. And then located in the center, you'll find your receiving hitch. This can also be a location for your distribution location for your electric winch. You can see all the way to the very far right, this is this latch to release to allow this shelf to be pulled out to gain access to your worn winch. Behind the access door, you'll find additional cupped switches. This is a location for all of your perimeter and scene lighting. Let's move all the way to the very top. You'll find your backup camera. This is when you're engaged in reverse. Moving to the side of the apparatus, just as the driver and passenger side locations, you have additional attachment points with a warning label underneath that attachment point for the direction of pull. Located on the side, on the passenger side, is where you'll also find 12 volt access. We're now in the compartment just to the rear on the right side. We're going to find this is the location for your rescue tools, where you have an on-off switch and also reel rewinds. First, you have your cord rewind. Once again, 200-foot 20-amp electrical cord, your hydraulic power unit with a green indicator that it is active. Moving to the forward section, you'll find once again LED lighting. These are the two locations for the hydraulic reel rewind. These are high pressure 5,000 psi and they are 100-foot reels. These are once again the reset switches for those reels for the electric motor. As we move just above or at the very top, you'll find an additional shoreline generator outlet. This is also breakered for 20 amp. Moving just down from this location, you'll find your Hurst Jaws of Life tool. This tool is removable for service. Also located in this location are the controls for those for increasing and decreasing. And also located at the very top, you'll find the reservoir and also fluid check for that reservoir. Let's move now just forward of this location. This is over the passenger side rear tire. Once again, same configuration as the other side. This is your ladder storage and additional rescue storage locations. Let's move down to the very bottom. Between the front and rear wheels, you'll find one diesel access here for fuel, and also you'll find a storage location for bottle storage with a storage strap. As we move forward of this location to the front side of this wheel, you'll find additional bottle storage in this location. You can see the bottle storage has the ability to store the bottle, but also a safety strap here while the vehicle is in motion, they don't become dislodged. Moving just forward of the rear wheels, you'll find an additional compartment. Let's talk a little bit about accessing these rollouts. First, the black latch allows you to release the mechanism for it to roll outward, and then you'll find an additional cable latch which allows it to return it back to its original position. There are also 3 locations here for pegged board storage, 2 of them that pull out. And at the very bottom section, you'll find access for shore power generated outlet. This is that location here on the side wall. As we move forward of that location, let's take a look at the top of this compartment. You'll also find the similar configuration you saw on the other side where you have your service brake air bottle storage. Also access here to PCs 1, 2, and 3. This is the plug-in location once again, just an additional picture. On the side of the apparatus, passenger side, you'll find your fold down step for accessing the side of your apparatus to go aloft. As we move just forward of this step on the rescue body is where you'll find your step tank drains. Quarter turn allows the condensation out of those tanks. As we gain access to the stairs, you can see there is LED lighting on the side of the steps and also handrails. Once we're at the very top, let's talk a little bit about safety. This is a no step area. There is a warning placard located here. Also on the steps itself, there is also a placard regarding not riding while the vehicle is in motion, that there could be a fall hazard associated. Looking inside those compartments on the top, you will find that they do have LED lighting and also straps for ease of closing. In several of the compartments, you could find access points. You can see that by the small screw and the piano hinge. Looking in this compartment, once again, you can see the LED lighting and also an access location. Clearly written on this is a no step location. That's referring to the black area on this cover. You can see just to the side of this cover location, you'll find all of your access controls. This is the oil drain for that combustion engine, a coolant drain for the combustion engine, and also you have a fuel shutoff for that. Let's go ahead and move away from this location. You'll find the checkered red. This is the hinge point for that for locking into the open position. You'll also find those yellow indicators at the very top. Those are for firefighter safety while walking on the top of the apparatus. It's a visual reminder that you're coming to the edge. Under the box labeled no step, this is the combustion engine underneath that. Here are the hoses and attachment points and also fuel filter. Looking up once again on the side, you'll find a divided compartment with LED lighting. Let's go inside the cab now. We're on the passenger side. I would like to point at all points of entry. You'll find your warning labels regarding firefighter safety for belts, seat belts, and also you'll find this additional red pull strap to allowing you to gain access inside the cab. In the center between the 2 seats is where you'll find your access point for all of your fluid checks. I've got an image of that here in the next set of pictures. You'll also find above that location an additional drawer that pulls outward, and also 12-volt barrel style access down here on the lower right corner in this image. A few close-ups here. This is going to be your transmission and also oil checks. There are lights inside for ease. Not the best image there, I've noticed, but this is the pull-out just above that compartment door. Looking to the rear section of your apparatus is the rear wall. You'll find additional caged location here with this netting. And over the head, you'll find your air conditioning push-on, push-off red and white lights, and also your speakers for your system stereo. Also located, you have two compartments overhead, one on the passenger and one on the driver's side. In the center tunnel, you'll find additional resource storage locations. And then as we move all the way to the rear wall, you'll find adjustable shelves. And at the top of those adjustable shelves, roll-up door, you'll find also the Shoreline generator outlet. This is a 20 amp outlet. The LED light in this compartment is switched at this location. It's just underneath the face of the door. Let's look overhead. You'll find your heating controls. This is the fan control switch. I've got a little bit closer image of that. This is a dial type switch. Let's move to the outside of the apparatus, looking inside the window. We have an auto charger indicator. This is when your vehicle is plugged into shore power. You'll find that this will illuminate, indicating that it's charging. Also just forward of that location is your SRS, supplemental restraint system. That's your airbag location. General view here of the passenger side of the vehicle. Let's take a look at some of those components first, with an air horn, mechanical siren, and also a siren brake. As we move just to the rear of those locations, you'll find a speedometer. You'll find 12-volt USB barrel style and also USB 12-volt. You'll also find these candy cane style. There is spare wiring behind this access location, and that's the purpose of those wiring, is to notify individuals that are doing service work. Also, you'll find your vehicle data recorder in the same location. Let's go ahead now and move overhead of the passenger. This is the officer seat. We'll talk about some of the controls within this location. First, let's start on the left-hand corner. You have an air horn, an electronic siren, siren brake, a future switch location. You have your moose light. You also have front scene, front spot, and front flood. Once those are activated, they will illuminate in the green color, and you can see that in the next image, these are when they are currently on. Let's start in the upper left-hand corner. This is your driver's side scene, your rear scene, passenger scene. You also have ground lights, driver's side perimeter, rear perimeter, and passenger side perimeter, in addition with a future switch location if needed. Moving all the way to the left, more toward the center I should say, this is your heavy-duty Bluetooth Sirius XM weather radio. And then as we look to the rear compartment here, just to identify it, let's look down in the lower right-hand corner. This is your med vault or secure location. This is also Wi-Fi enabled. Let's now move to the driver's seat. Let's talk about some of the components here. First, starting with the door. Once again, access point. You'll find at the very bottom this warning label indicating for seat belts, riding on, backing, all different types of labels here for your warning. Also in the step wheel, you'll find your air inlet and positive negative battery terminal locations. Moving just inside the floorboard area, you'll find a caution and warning here regarding diesel exhaust, and only trained personnel should operate. And also on the door, once again, the amount of people and the capacity that this is spec'd for. On the left-hand side, once again, this yellow placard. Let's talk a little bit about some of its components. First, this is manufactured for Anchorage Fire Department. It has the job number, it has the date of manufacture, your gross vehicle weight rating, and all of your fluid capacities and VIN number. Located at the left knee of the operator, you'll find first the tech module location for plugging in, transmission, ABS, and diagnostic port, and also display ports for maintenance. And you'll also find your ABS, engine diagnostic, and regen switches down in this section. Down in the lower part floorboard, you'll find a mechanical siren foot pedal. As we move to the right-hand side, you'll find underneath the dash your air horn, air shutoff. And then as we move just up from that location, you'll find your trailer brake module. Up from that location also, you'll find your indicator to engage the high idle, and the indicator once it has been engaged. On the left-hand side, driver steering column, starting at the top, you'll find your hazard lights. Down at the very bottom, you'll find your ignition switch and start. And all the way to the very far right, the small panel, EM stands for Emergency Master, your headlights, and your panel rocker for brightening and dimming the panel. As we look at the panel, we're going to start in the left-hand side with your transmission, oil, DEF level, and your water temperature. Located in the center, your tachometer and speedometer. On the right, you'll find voltage, fuel, front and rear air, and then you'll also find diagnostic information below and above the speedometer and tachometer. General view here of the side of the dash. We'll cover these independent. Starting first on the left-hand side, the diamond is going to be in yellow. That is the pull to apply your system parking brake, push to release. Moving to the right, you'll find your MUX. This is your information here, also the display for your backup camera. And then as we move further to the right, you're going to find your Allison transmission pad. You can see some caution labels here. Disengage the retarder when there's slippery surfaces. Moving further to the right, you'll find a set of switches here. Generator start-stop, compressor start, compartment heater, auto lube fault, load manager, mirror heat, the IRT enable, and also the disable for the IRT. And then just beneath that, you'll find a variety of different switches. Starting on the left is the engine brake on and off. And then you also have an engine brake low, medium, and high, differential lock, air dump, your tire chains, and then an indicator that your tire chains have been engaged. Your vehicle is also equipped with the EasyTrack hydraulic four-wheel drive. This is your access switches for that. In addition, with an amp readout, this is a gauge indicating your amps. Down in the lower section here is where your traffic advisor is located, on and off switch for high and low, and also the function and direction for that indicator. On the very top, you'll find your mirror controls for your flat and convex mirrors. And then as we look to the very front section, accessible for passenger and driver, climate control. Moving overhead, general view here. This is over the operator or driver's head. Let's focus first on this yellow placard. Height 11 feet 4.5 inches. Your length is 32.5 inches, and your gross vehicle weight is 49 8,000 pounds, which relates to 24.90 tons. It also has your job number located on the left. As we move to the left, you'll find over the operator's head your emergency master, turns on all of your emergency lights, your light bar, front warning, side warning, lower rear warning, upper rear warning, and high beam flash. Moving just slightly to the right of this location is where you'll find your driver scene light, rear scene light, passenger scene lights, the ground lights, driver side perimeter, rear perimeter, and passenger side perimeter. Each one of these panels has also a future switch location on each of the set of switches. Moving to the right, you'll find your air horn, your electronic siren, siren brake, a future switch location, your moose light, front scene, front spot, and front flood. Located directly in the center is where you'll find your siren control and also your microphone and PA controls for volume. Moving just underneath that, you'll find this red style puck light. This is a red indicator indicating that your vehicle has a compartment or a door open and not to move your apparatus. Congratulations, Anchorage, Alaska, job number 31186. If you have any questions as to the content of this video, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative.